Like Alex is ready, so if you'll help me welcome Alex to do the evaluation.
Hi, Renee.
Hi, Alex.
It's always a pleasure getting to hear you tell a story. It is astonishing the way that you're able to grab a story, to hold that tension, to raise it until we reach that moment. And you're so good at doing that. It's a testament to your storytelling skill and your speaking ability. Really appreciated the information that you gave here to us today, that you were able to convey to us that there's this opportunity for us to give back to the community, to be engaged with children, to be able to grow our own skills with probably the most honest audience we will ever have, young children. Whether they're, yay, it's Renee, or, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I thought you conveyed that all extremely well. I loved what you told us. I think you could have reorganized it perhaps just a little bit better. You started out with a great story. Then you told us about spellbinders, kind of, sort of. It was a little bit weak in, well, I'm not like the typical spellbinder. I think that you could have emphasized what the great organization is, even if you are a bit of an outlier. You told us about how rewarding this is. I think what you could have added in there is, as speakers, as we're trying to get better, we understand the value of stories, how it helps us connect to the audience. What better way than to practice this with the most honest audience you'll ever work with? You proved, though, how incredibly good you are with this great story that you had at the beginning. And thank you for including that, because that really brought us all in to understand what the power of a very, very good story is. I want to open it up now for everyone else to give a few words. Dana.
While you were giving the story, you were super confident. You were there, baby. And then when you started with the speech, you were seemed nervous, and your voice dropped, and you were almost apologetic. In my mind, it felt apologetic instead of, wow, what a great experience I've had. I want you to have this experience too. I would, because at the end, when you were pitching, being a storyteller, that's where your passion came out, and that's where you were so strong. It was just, yeah, I'm a storyteller, and let me tell you about the Felder here. It was real weak, but good information. I just wanted you to have more power. And I did like the witchy story too.
Renee, I thought that you're so expressive up there. I mean, I thought you were that kid, really, the way you cried, almost cried and feared. And then you went into your, what Dana was talking about the storytellers. But I didn't get the point, what does it take to make a story? Can you bring out some points that you've learned in storytelling? Or maybe that wasn't what you wanted to do at all. How to tell a story. Develop a character. Develop characters, I think. And it seemed like in storytelling you over-exaggerated things, which you did. And what the point being? Somewhere along the line there's a sequence that you go through in telling the story. And I wanted to learn those points, and I never heard them. You just kept saying, storytelling's great, but I didn't learn how to tell a story.
I think my ears are bad today or something.
Yes.
Because when you were doing the witch voice, I couldn't, it was just so, your voice dropped way off. Now, you need that for suspense. But if you're talking to 60 kids, they can't hear that. I can't hear that. Maybe they
30.
can.
It's three groups.
Oh.
20, 3 groups of 20.
I see, good. Cause,
First goal.
yeah, for me as an old folk, I wanted more strength in your voice. And you know me, I'm always about physical stuff. So when you were doing your story, you had very purposeful movements. You stood here, you stood there, you stood. Although I think you could, when the mom switches off the light, you could just have him, he heard the switch of the
Emergency
light
code
rather
pink,
than
all
going
clear.
down.
Emergency code pink, all clear. Emergency code pink, all clear.
But once you got to your own presentation, then you paced. For a little while, you made a few good points, but I want you to keep watching that because it's so easy to wander, and that's just a pet thing for me that I always watch. I'm always aware.
And I gotta say, I loved the click. I thought that was.
You think the
I
click-
thought that was hysterically wonderful.
It's hard. When I talk to the kids, I sit
Yeah.
so that they don't say, no. So it's hard to try to get in the movements so that I'm usually just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That-
that makes sense.
I appreciated that you were vulnerable and open in the risks that you've taken, and I think in some ways that can make it more accessible to other people, that we could take that risk too, and we don't have a kid or have. I felt like you could have tied it more specifically to our needs. In the inspire your audience, your goal is to take a group that already has some feeling in common and raise us up to the next level. And I thought there was an opportunity to do more of that.
Any other last comments? Well, Renee, thank you for giving this speech. I think you touched us all with your storytelling abilities to inspire us to take that next step. Your confidence in storytelling is tremendous. Touch into that passion to convince us that we want to take that next step so that we can improve our own speeches, and we'll have a tremendous, tremendous presence. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Alex. Well, we're nearing the end of our meeting. We've got a couple of reports and an evaluation, so